The languages of France include the French language and some regional languages. The French language is the only official language of France according to the second article of the French Constitution, and is by far the most widely spoken. Several regional languages are also spoken to varying degrees as a secondary language after French, such as German dialects, Celtic languages and other Gallo-Romance languages. Some of these languages have also been spoken in neighbouring countries, such as Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, Italy or Spain. Status. The official language of the French Republic is French and the French government is, by law, compelled to communicate primarily in French. The government, furthermore, mandates that commercial advertising be available in French. See Toubon law. The French government, however, does not mandate the use of French by private individuals or corporations or in any other media. A revision of the French Constitution creating official recognition of regional languages was implemented by the Parliament in Congress at Versailles in July 2008. The 1999 report written for the government by Bernard Serquigoni identified 75 languages that would qualify for recognition under the government's proposed ratification of the European Charter for Regional or Minority Languages. 24 of those languages are indigenous to the European territory of the state while all the others are from overseas areas of the French Republic. Although ratification was blocked by the Constitutional Council as contradicting the Fifth Republic's constitutional provision enshrining French as the language of the Republic, the government continues to recognize regional and minority languages to a limited extent in the DA copyright la copyright Gation ga copyright na copyright réel la langue française section S has acquired the additional function of observing and studying the languages of France and has had aux langues de France added to its title. The category of languages of France is thus administratively recognized even if this does not go so far as to provide any official status. Following his election as president, Frans Section wa Holland reasserted in 2012 his campaign platform to ratify the European Charter and ensure a clear legal framework for regional languages. The regional languages of France are sometimes called patois, but this term is often considered derogatory. Patois is used to refer to supposedly purely oral languages, but this does not, for instance, take into account that Occitan was already being written at a time when French was not and its literature has continued to thrive, with a Nobel Prize for Fra copyright d'art copyright Ric Mistral in 1904. At the time of the French Revolution in 1789 it is estimated that only half of the population of France could speak any French, and as late as 1871 only a quarter spoke French as their native language. Language education the topic of the teaching of regional languages in public primary and secondary schools is controversial. Proponents of the measure state that it would be necessary for the preservation of those languages and to show respect to the local culture. Opponents contend that local languages are often non-standardized, of dubious practical usefulness and that the curriculum and funding of public schools are already too strained. The topic also leads to wider controversial questions of autonomy of the ra copyright GINs. Regarding other languages, English, Spanish, Italian and German are the most commonly studied foreign languages in French schools. In April 2001, the Minister of Education, Jacques Lang, admitted formally that for more than 2 centuries, the political powers of the French government had repressed regional languages, and announced that bilingual education would, for the first time, be recognized, and bilingual teachers recruited in French public schools. Cross-border languages Some of the languages of France are also cross-border languages, some of which enjoy a recognized or official status in the respective neighboring state or territory. French itself is also a cross-border language, being spoken in neighboring Andorra, Belgium, Italy, Luxembourg, Monaco, and Switzerland. List of languages. National language French language. Regional languages The regional languages of metropolitan France include Celtic, Breton also known as Bresonnais, Germanic, Alsatian, French Flemish, West Flemish dialect of Dutch, Lorraine Franconian also known as Lothringen, Gallo-Romance, OL language, Berrichian, Bourguignon Morvandier, Champenois or Campanois, Franc-Comtois, French, Gallo, Lorraine, Norman, Picard, Poitevin and Santonja, Walloon, Angevin, Manso, Mayonnaise, Romande. Occitan language, Vivarois-Penc, Auvergnat, Gascon including bar copyright Arnis and Landis, Languedocian, Limousin, Nissart, Provena sectional, Catalan. Franco-Provena sectional also named Arpitan, Bressan, Dauphinois, Fauretien, Jurassien, Lyonnais, Savoyard. Gallo-Italic, Ligurian language. Others, Italo-Dalmatian languages, Corsican. Aquitanian language, Basque also known as Euskara. Overseas languages There are also several languages spoken in France's overseas areas, Amerindian languages in French Guiana, French-based Creole languages in the French West Indies, French Guiana, and Ra Copyright Union. Also Dutch, and English in St. Martin. Also St. Barth's Patois, and English in St. Bartha Copyright Lemmy. Many Austronesian languages, several languages in New Caledonia, 2 languages in Wallis and Futuna, many languages in French Polynesia. Chimal and Shibushi in Mayotte. Sign language French Sign Language is also recognized as a language of France. Immigrant languages A large number of immigrant languages are spoken in France, with a handful having a significant number of home speakers. Main immigrant languages, Arabic, in particular the Maghrebi variant of North Africa, is the most common second language in French homes, with several million speakers. Spanish, the second most taught foreign language at French schools, spoken by about 800,000 people. Italian, spoken by Italian immigrant communities in many major French cities, especially in southern regions, such as Nice, Savoy, and Corsica. About 790,000 speakers, excluding Italian dialects. Portuguese, mostly the European variant, spoken by about 700,000 people. English, significant British minorities in Aquitaine and Brittany, as well as commuters working in the UK but living in Nord-Pas-de-Calais. Dispersed minorities in Paris and on the Quartier d'Azur. The most widely taught foreign language in the French education system, but not widely used and understood except in specific job positions. About 325,000 home speakers. Polish, spoken by about 190,000 people. Turkish, spoken by about 150,000 people. Vietnamese, the most spoken Asian language in France, spoken by about 100,000 people. Other immigrant languages, German and German dialects, spoken by about 300,000 people. Figure includes both Standard German and other dialects of High German, Berber languages, about 200,000 speakers, African languages, chiefly Bambara, Wolof, Fula, other Bantu languages, Lao, Khmer, Chinese, Wenzhounese, Teochew and Cantonese, Mandarin, Tamil, Romani, spoken by the Roma people, Armenian, Croatian, Dutch, Greek, Haitian Creole, Hebrew, Hindi, Japanese, Kabyle, Korean, Persian, Romanian, Russian, Serbian, Thai, Ukrainian, Urdu. Statistics: at the 1999 census, INSEE sampled 380,000 adult people all across metropolitan France, and asked them questions about their family situation. One of the questions was about the languages that their parents spoke with them before the age of 5. This is the first time serious statistics were computed about the proportion of mother tongues in France. The results were published in Enquête familiale, in c. 1999. Here is a list of the 9 most prominent mother tongues in France based on Enquête familiale. If we add up people with mother tongue and people with some exposure to the language before the age of 5, then the 5 most important languages in metropolitan France are: French 42,100,000, Occitan, 1,670,000, German and German dialects, 1,440,000, OL languages, 1,420,000, Arabic, 1,170,000. Notes on the table the data in the table are about mother tongues, and not about actual language practice. it states that 14% of the adult people living in France in 1999 were born and raised up to the age of 5 in families that spoke only some other languages than French. It does not mean that 14% of adult people in France spoke some other languages than French in 1999. Only adults were surveyed. This means that French people born between 1981 and 1999 are not included in the survey. The mother tongue of the younger generations is more predominantly French than is the case with the older generations, because as the Enquête familiale survey explains, regional and immigrant language transmission decreases dramatically with each new generation, as French replaces the regional and immigrant languages. In the Enquête familiale survey, only 35% of parents whose mother tongue was a regional or immigrant language reported they spoke that language to their children. Thus, the 86% figure of people with French as their mother tongue is an underestimate because the younger generations whose predominant mother tongue is French are not counted. The concept of mother tongue may not give a complete idea of the phenomenon of minority languages in France. This is because there are many people who were born and raised in families in which parents spoke to them only French, but in which some regional or immigration languages were also occasionally used. One example, while the data tell us that 610,000 adults in 1999 had one of the Occitan dialects as their mother tongue, the survey also found out that another 1,060,000 adults were born and raised in families in which one of the Occitan dialects was occasionally spoken. Some of these 1,060,000 people may speak Occitan as fluently as the 610,000 people who have it as a mother tongue, while some other have only a limited knowledge of Occitan. We cannot infer from this that 1,670,000 adults are speakers of Occitan, but it may be the case that the total number of people with some form of exposure to Occitan is higher than the 610,000 figure, though some of this number may have abandoned the language since then. See also, Francophony, Culture of France, Languages of the European Union, Gaulish, Old Frankish, Old French, Old Occitan, Ordinance of Villiers-Cotterêts, History of French, French language in Canada. References. External links, Map of Languages of France, Ethnologue Report for France, de copyright la copyright Gaishengar copyright na copyright réel à la langue française sectionnaires et aux langues de France, Ikastola El Quartier Association of Bilingual Basque French Schools, Diwan BREIZH Association for Promotion of Breton, Colanta Association of Bilingual Occitan French Schools, La Bresla Catalan Schools, TLFQU Level Car.